All right, before we start putting things on faders, there's one final piece of the puzzle that we need to record. There are three main presets that I use when busking. There's a bass preset, which is always on in the background in case something goes awry. There's a band preset, which I use to make sure that the band is lit. And then there's a blue out preset that I'll use between songs to help me clear off my faders and make sure I have room to start bringing the next look up. So let's start with the blue out preset. So a blue out preset looks like this. This is the one that we have. We're going to talk about how I got here. The band members have some key light on them, and there's a blue top light. If you ever go to a concert, this is where they're tuning or they're in between songs. They finish one song and they're taking a drink of water, or there's a break between music. We don't want to completely leave the stage in black because our musicians can't see, but we also don't want our song look up. And this is the look that we'll use to do a lot of maintenance on our playback wing. So to build this, I'm just going to grab groups of lights that I want to use to construct this. Considerations when picking those fixtures are I want things that don't have to move too far, and I don't want to use too many that are going to interfere with what other look I might be coming out of. So let's figure out which set of lights to use. Well, I know I want to use a wash fixture because I want a general stage wash, so that's probably the right type of light to use. My first set of washes, they're a little too steep, they're a little too backy, and there's also too many of them. They're a great angle for like a high wide at the end of a song, so the odds of them ending high in a song and then flying in for this blue out are pretty high, so I don't want to use those. Same thing with these. It's an array of 4, we probably don't need that many, and they're also in a great fly out position. These three, however, they're the highest, so they're going to give me the best downlight position. And also, they're probably the least likely to be used in a high fly situation. And they're the least useful to me, too, right? Because the lower and higher I can get, that's typically a more dramatic angle than high and high. So knowing that, I can program knowing that these are probably going to be used in my blue out look. I'm going to tilt them down, and then I'm going to flood them out using my wide beam palette. Next, it's a blue out look, so got to make them blue. And it's probably a little bright between songs, so I'll dim them down a little bit. And I also want to make sure the band is keyed. One thing we didn't talk about in this patch is there are some Source 4 LEDs that we're using as dedicated band key light. So I'm going to turn them on at this point. I have them recorded as a group 111 together. And I probably want to put them in like a 5500 Kelvin, which I had recorded as my no color palette. I recorded it as no color because all of my other lights' base color temperature is 5500 K. So when I go to no color, I want everything to go to that same color temperature. So here we go. I've got these lights, they're on a little bit. I've got my wash lights dimmed down. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now that we've got our blue look up on stage, we also want to make sure that our blue out look contains all of the other lights in our rig, because we want to use this look to cover whatever work we're going to be doing in the background while we set up for the next song. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of those fixtures and put them in the home base focus palette so that they're all pointing in a useful direction and they don't have to travel too far from wherever they probably ended the last song. So now I can see all of those lights are up and they're in my home base focus position. And now I'm going to record this into my look. What I need to do is I want to grab all of these fixtures and I want to make them manual. Taking that group that we had just grabbed to put into our home base focus palette and making it manual is going to take all of the parameters of those fixtures and make them manual values. These manual or red values that are in our live display now, we can record into our blue out preset to make sure that we have everything taken care of. I like using that make manual because it makes sure that I get everything, that there isn't some motor speed or something somewhere that is left behind. And that becomes really important when we start talking about the management of these different playbacks and how they interact with each other. So now that I've got everything where I want it, I'm going to record only preset 2. And now in preset 2 is my blue out look. I'd already had that set as an empty recorded preset. So as soon as I recorded that, it's now in my blue out preset, and we've got that up on stage. I like having this all in a preset as well as in a queue because it just gives me an easy way to make changes if I need to do it. So now I'm going to take this preset that's recorded and I'm just going to put it in the blue out queue. So record only queue 999/1. I'm going to record that in queue list 999/1. I like queue list 999 because it's far out of the way. In fact, it's as far out of the way as you can get in an EOS system. So I know it's not going to interfere with any of my stuff. And it's really easy to find if I need to. And I'm also going to map that to my main fader. Now, because this is the first playback that I've recorded, it's automatically going to map to my master fader playback stack. But I could put it there as well if I needed to by typing q999/ and loading it on that fader as well. And so now when I hit go, we have that look up on stage and everything is playing back. So now that we've recorded our preset look, we know that we're going to be able to send the desk to a known state as far as color and intensity and focus values. The only thing we haven't thought of is how we're going to deal with incoming effect data when we run this. Basically, busking is all about getting to known states. And we want to make sure that when we hit go on our main stack here, we are going to a known state where there are no effects running. So to do that, we would use the stop effect command. And we can actually apply this stop effect command at the preset level. So if I open my preset list and go into preset 2, which is my blue out, and I edit it, I can actually select everything in this preset using my all group. And then if I hit stop effect twice, it's going to post stop all to my command line. Now when I hit enter, you'll notice that every parameter says stop next to it. That's going to execute a stop effect on this parameter regardless of whether or not there is an incoming effect, which means that when I hit go on this, it's going to turn off any effect that may be running. So now that we know that the queue is going to send us to a known state, we want to make sure that this playback sends us to a known state. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our queue list properties, queue list 999/enter. And I'm going to open up my priority window. And the default priority here is priority 4. That is how all of these playbacks start. I want to set this to priority 8. And I want to make sure that I have a way to master the intensity of this in case I need to dim the intensity of the look without taking the look off stage. So I'm going to set my master to be intensity. And finally, I'm going to change my back button to be a release as opposed to a back button. And just to make sure that I don't accidentally double punch or take this look off stage unintentionally, I'm going to set my back from first and go from last to be wrap to make sure that there is no way I am accidentally dumping this look off stage.